want to speak about a famous Moroccan rabbi today. His name was Rabbi Aharon Ben Hussein. Now, his Hilula was approximately, I believe, a month ago. So I'm not recording it on the date of the calendar date of his passing. I believe he passed away on the 26th of Av, all the way back in 1964, August 1964, respectively. He was a great rabbi. He was, I think, a rabbi of Wadvdó, I think in Alqassar, respectively, head of Jewish court, also in Asואiרה in Morocco, and the author of a Torah famous book called the Mateh Aharon, respectively. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, he was born in the year 1891, and naturally, I think in Meknes there was a specific area called Malach, which is the name of let's say the Jewish square in Morocco, respectively Meknes, and he came from great rabbinic auspices. I believe his father's name was Rav Raphael Chassin, so he was born in the year 1891, and so his Rav Raphael Chassin, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a famous rabbinic dynasty of the Chassin family, which is spoken about before. I think, I think there was a famous rabbi, actually, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, which we've actually mentioned about on the various occasions before in the series, I think called Rav Aharon Ben Hussein also, and I think the great-great-grandfather of his was a great rabbi named Rabbi David Ben Hussein. Now, Rabbi David Ben Hussein, we actually recorded a video, I believe, about a while ago. He happens to have been born, I believe, in 1727, passed away in 1792. He was a famous poet, let's just say, one of the great rabbis from Morocco, author of various different famous songs in of itself, various different shirim, very, very popularly used nowadays. He passed away towards the end of the 18th century. He was, I think, he was a Talmid of Rabbi Mordechai Berdugo, and much has been said over this. That was a great-great-grandfather, I believe, of his respectively, who we've mentioned about on various occasions before. So that's just an extra tidbit in of itself. So it was a fourth generation from there, and much has been said about. So he would learn Mikra. I think he would be close to a Chacham Yosef Mashash. If I'm not mistaken, how Rav Aharon was. Rav Yosef Mashash, obviously we've spoken about before, he himself passed away in 1974 and was born in 1892. He also was a famous Payatan and Talmid Chacham and Posek Halacha, and had various importances. Let's just say he was a historian also, and a judge in Meknes and in Algeria, also chief rabbi of Haifa, also on top of everything else. So that's interesting. So that was a caliber of great rabbis he was close to also. Also, he was close to a rabbi called Rabbi Shmuel ben Yittach, I think, and Rabbi Yosef Elbaz at that point in time. Now, afterwards, he would learn, I think, together Talmud, Gemara, and also the various different poskim. I think the Yeshivat Etz Chaim inside the city. It's a yeshiva we've spoken about on various occasions before. Hopefully, maybe we'll record a separate video on it. And over there, the famous rabbi there he would learn with was Rabbi Chaim Berdugo, who happened to be the Rosh Yeshiva over there of Beit Etz Chaim. And much more can be said within regards to him. I think just to state something else about Rabbi Berdugo, I think he was actually born in 1862, if I'm not mistaken, and was author of great books, especially on the Shas and on Mikra, and would print, I think, a Mikveh Hamayim book, if I'm not mistaken. So that is very interesting, and much has been chronicled also about Rabbi Chaim Berdugo. Okay, so let's continue speaking about Rabbi Aharon Chassin. Sometimes there's so many rabbis that connect to so many other great rabbis. It's always tempting to speak about the other great famous rabbanim also. So he would actually continue learning in brilliance at that stage in time. While he was still young, I think he would also help potentially within regards to Parnasa for his family, if I'm not mistaken. And afterwards, he would later on, if I'm not mistaken, after several years, he would get married to Rabbanit Belaida, I believe. She happened to be the daughter of Rabbi Shmuel ben Amram. Now, we've spoken about Rabbi Shmuel ben Amram on various occasions in this series, and very interesting because they were very closely related. And he would have a hand, I believe, in this incredible book that Rav Chassin would actually author, respectively. Now, so Rav Amram, I think, was actually famous rabbinic dynasty that Amram family happened to have actually been. It's actually interesting. There was another great rabbi of a point in time. I think that was there was a strong connection to we've just spoken about Rabbi Shmuel ben Amram. There was a Rabbi Rachmin ben Amram also, who lived between 1914 to 2001 and was very, very close to many of the great rabbis. He would end up, Rabbi Rachmin ben Amram would actually, I think, become the rabbi of the Kiryat Menachem neighborhood, I believe. So that's quite interesting. I'm not too sure how they were connected, the Rabbi Rachmim ben Amram and also great Rabbi Shmuel ben Amran, but possibly maybe there was a connection or not, but he was also connected to Rabbi Rachmim also. That's what we have to point out. Okay, so just continue speaking within regards to that. I think, yes, he would get married to the daughter of Rabbi Shmuel ben Amran, and he would continue inside the rabbinate shortly afterwards in Morocco. I think after several years, the great men of the Kehila in Alqasa and Al-Kabir, they would actually request a rabbi over there at that point in time, and very much he would be connected, let's just say, to it. The community would ask, and the members would ask a recommendation. And it was actually interesting. It would be another famous rabbi, Rabbi Raphael Enkawa, who would actually recommend Rav Chassin to become the rabbi, and they would appoint him as rabbi. I remember Rav Enkawa, we did also speak about how much of a great halachic arbitrator he was and a commentator he was, and he was the first actually himself to be appointed a chief rabbi in Morocco. Okay, and it's actually interesting. Rabbi Ben Hussein would also work not just within regards to the rabbinate in of itself at that stage in time. He would be doing other important workings. I think he would be dealing with. It wasn't necessarily seen as enough. I think he would become the rabbi also of Wadvdó, if I'm not mistaken, at a later stage in time. And I think there was a French government point in time were making difficulties for the Jewish community, or more difficulties in of itself. So that would be also a challenge to deal with. He was appointed also head of Jewish court inside the city. I think in Asואiרה he would take a position. And it's interesting, in his Bet Din, there was other great rabbis there at that point, including Rabbi Moshe Vizgan, who was not just a great Dayan in Asואiרה, he was head of Jewish court later on, and rabbi in Marrakesh, respectively, in his time period. Also, Rabbi Raphael Yosef Berdugo was also there, and he would be there until, I think, May 1960. Now, it's actually interesting. I think, Kamot Heitav Shin Zayin, he would be part of, I think this was, I'm not sure the exact year. So one other interesting tidbit with regards to Rav Ben Hussein was that he was one of the founders of this Moroccan rabbinical court. I'm not sure the exact year. Actually, maybe according to another opinion, maybe it was around I'm not too sure the exact year. Maybe it was in the late 40s, but I'll have to double check on that. And he would participate in various different meetings. Now, it's actually interesting. I think one of the importances that he would actually do, I think, especially at the time of meeting, he was close to Rabbi Yosef Mashash, and they would visit each other, especially to Meknes and so on and so forth. And he expressed his heartfelt desire to immigrate to the land of Israel. I think he brought to various different Zionistic emissaries to appoint him eventually to a rabbinical position in one of the largest cities in the country. He would, and there was a lot of dialogue between them, so on and so forth. Rabbi Yosef Mashash, I believe, reported over, had encouraged him to, to come to the land of Israel. And there was various different conversations, I believe, that was recorded over between the two great rabbis in of itself about that topic. There'll be a massive wave of Aliyah during the early years of the Medinat Israel from many, many different people from Morocco. I'll just mention what it says over here. I'm just going to say in Hebrew what's chronicled here. עם ידידו רב יוסף משאש, שהיה מקיים מדי פעם כשהיה מבקר בעיר מקנס, הוא העלה את משאלת לבוא לעולות לישראל. הוא הביא בפני ידידו את הבטחתם של שליחי הציונית למנוחו למשרה רבנית באחת מהערים הגדולות בארץ. הוא גם ציין בפניו את העבודה שבארץ הוא יכול להדפיס את כתביו שעליהם עמל שנים רבות. רבי יוסף משאש עודד אותו לעלות מפני חיבת הארץ, אך הזהיר אותו כי ארץ ישראל נקנית בייסורים. He was giving a warning also that there's going to be difficulties to actually come and arrive in Eretz Israel, quoting Masechet Brachot, I think from page number 5 within regards to Amud Aleph. Rabbi Aharon שהיה נחוש בדעתו, לא שעה אל הזהרות ועלה לארץ. So that's very interesting ending this just he was determined in his position, and I believe he did immigrate to the land of Israel. Rabbi Aharon Ben Hussein. So that was a big move at that point in time. He would actually come, and I think he'll be in the more western part. He'll go more to the western part of Jerusalem, and he'll become the rabbi of the moshav called the Sadot Mika. Very interesting enough. Place we haven't necessarily visited on this channel before. Very interesting. I think it's in the western part of Bet Shemesh, so it would be great to visit there at one stage in time. And last years of life, so he would, I believe he would spend his remaining years around that specific part. That moshav in itself was part of the Mate Yehuda neighborhood, respectively. And I think he yearned to print various different of his writings, and he did have this rabbinic position, but it was, I think, later on, sadly, he did fall ill and he passed away. So that's so that we just have to chronicle over. Also, I think a neighbor of Rabbi Aharon's was Rabbi Chaim Sabto, who actually, interesting enough, I think he is a famous rabbi. Also, someone else we've spoken about on various occasions before. He himself, I think he's actually still living at the moment. Rabbi Chaim Sabto, I think he's quite famous, Rosh Yeshiva. He was one of the founders of Hez Yeshiva Birkat Moshe, and would take on various different importances in himself. A rabbi we've, I think, mentioned about on various occasions before here on this series, author, and he's got many connections, I believe, also with the various different political figures, and has had various different important figures. So he actually was a neighbor, interesting enough, of this of the great rabbi himself. He, I believe, was actually from Egypt. He was very prominent in Merkaz Arav, and various published works he did, and I think he co-founded Yeshivat Barakat Moshe in Ma'ale Adumim, which is very interesting enough. So that, and was part of Yeshivat Kotel also, so that's another interesting tidbit. So he was actually a neighbor of his, and I think there's a book, his book, I think maybe Rab Chaim Savto, called the Emet Me'eret Tismach, Makdish Savto Chelek Nichbad L'Tzi'ur Ishoto Shel Rabbi Aharon V'Yisurei HaKlita Sheyu Manat Chelko. Hu mita'er gam et hanikol shechava mitzad gormim shonim b'masad לדבריו סך לא רבי אהרון כי בכל לילה אחר שבני ביתי לנים מוציא אני את תכריך זבח תודה מעתיק ובודק מגיע ומתקן כפי כוחי מובטחני שתקף שיצא הספר לא יראו אותו הרבנים הגדולים שבארץ ישראל ויקחו אותו מהמעברה הזאת ויעשו אותו דיין באחת בערי ישראל ואשוב ואחדש תורה וראה כפי כוחי. So I believe that is chronicled over within regards to him in his books. That's very interesting. He passed away on the 26th of Av in 1964. We're talking about 61 years ago. He was buried in Har HaMenuchot in Jerusalem, also respectively. So what was the books, that Torah colossal works that he left us, including the Mate Aharon? This was a Sheilot Shuvot, question answers. The Zoveach Todah, this was an Hilchot Shchita and Treifot, respectively, and there was a Shuvot also in of itself, respectively. So he was one of the great rabbis of Morocco of his time. I believe we've mentioned about him on various occasions before. He would become a rabbi of the neighborhood of the Moshav, the Sadot Mika, also, which is, I think, quite close to Bet Shemesh. Hopefully at one stage we will be able to visit their part of the Mata Yehuda neighborhood, and hopefully we'll get the privilege to learn more about the great rabbis and the rabbis he was connected with also. Now friends, we are a community here. We are learning about the great Oriental rabbis of yesteryear. If you descend from any of the great Chachamim we are speaking about, please send me an email now. I would love to hear more information on the great rabbis. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people. Now, friends, we are nearing a staggering 7,500 subscribers here on this channel, which is a phenomenal achievement. So we're going really from strength to strength, and we're really going out. On this channel, we just don't record videos of great Chachamim of yesteryear. We also record videos of with great modern current rabbis from across the Jewish globe. We try and interview and get bursts of inspiration in of itself, respectively. So this is, I believe, very, very important for the channel. We also recorded daily Daf Yomi Talmud Tidbit. That's another project we are working on here on this channel. And we also do on the Parashat Shavua, on different Jewish festivals. We will actually record over videos, and we explore different yeshivot of different countries of Yesir. That's another thing we are trying to work on, and so on and so forth. So I'm just recording this just before Shabbat Parshat Nitzavim. It's going to be this Shabbat. It's the last Shabbat of the year, by the way, friends. That's something else we've got to state over. So let's make the most of it. We're coming into Rosh Hashanah, I believe, on Monday night. Let's make the most of it. Let's grasp it. Every opportunity we can do to learn Torah, pray, and ask for fountains of blessings, ask for forgiveness. Let's do that now and try and do as much importance as possible. So I really appreciate you watching this. Shabbat Shalom V'rach. Take care and Shana Tova U'Metuka for everyone watching. Thank you very much, everyone.